Hey guys, back with the new video. Today I wanted to talk about Rashad Jamal and his recent arrest. I did briefly touch on this in my previous video, which I will link in the description. But basically, I was saying I didn't have an opinion yet because I didn't know the facts and I hadn't done an investigation. That whole point of that video was to talk about why Pharaoh felt the need to chime in when he had no leg to stand on. But yeah, so before we get into it, just for those that don't know who this is or don't know anything about the case, I'm going to read a quick small article basically about what happened and why he got arrested, and then I'm going to talk about it from there. Okay, so this article is from the Showbiz Corner. I'll also link that below. Okay, so content creator Rashad Jamal White was arrested on the 3rd of May 2022. It was a result of the events that happened the past year. According to Rashad's wife, he got his son Zaza from his baby mama in May. However, she accused him of kidnapping her child, which had him return the kid. I don't think this article is written really well. But anyway, it's only short, so let's continue on. Then in August, she further alleged that Rashad asked her 11-year-old daughter to touch his private parts. After that, the marshals visited their house and broke down a door but didn't find them. Following that, he hired lawyers and he has appeared before the court since October. The last date was on the 27th of January 2022 when he and the officials had a miscommunication. He and his family reportedly didn't know whether he had a new court date or where to turn himself in. And on the 3rd of May, the police confronted Rashad and his family while driving their way to his eye appointment. They arrested him for child molestation and cruelty to children in first-degree charges. He is currently in the Barrow County Detention Centre, and on Friday the 6th of May he had his first appearance before Judge Curry Mingledorf, but he was denied bond. The social media creator's next court date is 19th of May at 9 a.m. So I think that's in 2 days' time from today. For the bench warrant, when he and his family were out of town, his wife asked that the supporters to write character reference letters so he could get a bond. Okay, so this is Rashad Jamal's Instagram page. It doesn't really speak much about himself. Yeah, so in brief, I'll just do like a quick summary. He's basically a part of this conscious community where I think he teaches. I think someone said he has some kind of university that you can enroll into. And yeah, I think he talks about enlightenment, but some of the videos that I have seen on him on YouTube, they have not always been positive in my opinion. I think some of them are uplifting, some of them are powerful and positive, and then some of them kind of give not the best advice for the youth, especially the younger community, boys and girls, whether they're black or whatever race they are, especially when it comes to police and retaliation and stuff like that. I mean, yes, we should stand our ground to a certain degree, but in the States it's a bit difficult when you guys have, police that are trigger happy and, they just need a reason. So yeah, I don't think that's the best advice, but maybe in some circumstances it is. However, for me, how I feel is there are a lot of these conscious people, I guess, self-proclaimed, that claim to be leaders and people that you should follow and teachers, and they don't really have the best track record. I mean, if we go back to young Pharaoh for a second, like this guy who has his online university, claims to be the leader of the black community, claims to be, the number one attorney, the number one political person in the country, the trillionaire. All these claims, they're just a bit silly, aren't they? They're a bit ridiculous. And it's like, where are your actual accolades? You don't have any. You don't have any certifications, you don't have any qualifications. You're just a man on the internet and calling yourself a leader and claiming that you have all this knowledge and that you have the, you know, I don't even know how to describe it really. It's just, I think it's a bit delusional for someone to have all these kind of claims when there's no evidence and there's no backing to it really. He said that he did a lot of reading while he was in prison and that's how he got his knowledge. But then, did you really get your knowledge from books? Because knowledge is available everywhere, especially today in the age of the internet where you can literally look up nearly everything. Maybe not on Google because Google's quite censored, sorry, but there are other browsers that are available that are not as censored as Google. I mentioned one before, one being Brave. Yeah, and you can look up pretty much anything. And of course, books. Books are really helpful for you to find out who you are and your history and any kind of teachings. And those are your resources, and you can source that information. So I don't know. It's for me. It's not great to be someone that claims to be the founder of information and you know the first person to come across all this knowledge and now I'm the smartest man in the world, as Pharaoh says. Like, that's just crazy. It's like a crazy claim to make. And I'm not saying that Rashad has made these same claims because I'm sure he hasn't, but everybody that's, in the followers, that in the comments, they seem to be quite obsessed with these people and look to them as their only source of information. And for me, some of the times when I looked at young Pharaoh's PowerPoints, he really didn't really list any kind of sources. Do you know what I mean? There wasn't really much information for reference that you could look up yourself. You would kind of have to do your own research, which is fine, and then go from there. So my advice is to people, especially young people, is to do your own research. I mean, you can listen to these people if you like, but take the information with a pinch of salt and then look it up yourself and speak to elders, speak to your parents, speak to grandparents and elders that actually have, I'm not just saying that you can only be educated through degrees and that kind of thing. There's also experience. There's also could be a professor in these topics. You could be a specialist, etc., etc. Look up those people and listen to what they have to say about history and information pertaining to, our people, instead of just looking to these people for knowledge, because we already know from young Pharaoh's history how many times he's been locked up or arrested and how many charges he's had, and from his teens to his age now, it's like it doesn't look good. Why do these so-called conscious community leaders have such a bad past? Why? Now, I'm not saying that you can only be a conscious community leader if you have nothing in your past and you've never been to prison. No, I wouldn't say that because, for example, Malcolm X, of course, we all know he went to prison and then, of course, this changed his life. So people can change their life, that's true, you can change, but with Pharaoh and even with Rashad Jamal, they've got a long history of arrests and prison time and probation and charges. It's like, why do you have to go through so much, evil or bad or negativity and criminal behavior? Why do you have to go through all of that to then become this conscious community person? Do you know what I mean? And for reference on Rashad Jamal's criminal past and history, I think Hulu has done a video on that recently, and it kind of shows going back to, I think, 2000, I think he went, all of his arrest charges. So if you want to have a look at that in detail, then yeah, I suggest you go to his channel and have a look. But yeah, it's like, why is there so much, especially when it comes to guns, attempted murder, violence against women, domestic violence. Like, why do they have this same pattern? It's kind of strange for me, and that's the way that they all connect. Not all of them, but a lot of them connect. But again, you can change. So maybe Rashad Jamal has changed, but I'm not going to be someone that vouches for that. I'm sure there's going to be couple of people in my comments that are going to be unhappy with some of the things I've said, but do you know what I mean? This is my page and this is my perspective. And another thing that's concerning to me is that why are these guys always doing lectures and videos topless? Why? Why do you need to be topless to teach, if that's what you're going to call it? What is the need? Why can't you have a vest on or a t-shirt? Why must we see this? Especially if you're claiming to teach, and like young Pharaoh claims, he claims to teach children. Um, why would you present yourself in that way to a child? So yeah, let's circle back to his actual charges for child molestation. Now, we can't say he's guilty or he's innocent because obviously the courts are going to have to determine that, and only the child that, made the accusation, only, those are going to be the people that's going to determine his fate. Now, when it comes to those kind of accusations, you have to take them seriously. Whether you think it's a lie or whether you think it's the truth, whether you're not sure, it doesn't matter. You have to take them seriously. And those cases need to be investigated on an individual basis, you know, for the truth to come out and the outcome to be established. There's no other way. So for all the people on the internet saying it's not true, this and that, it's a lie, they're trying to bring him down, or he's a good guy, so that's why the government's taking him out. All these different reasons and conspiracies, some of them might be true, some of them might not be. But however, if a child has accused an adult of being touched inappropriately, then that's something that the authorities need to investigate. And for it to go this far, for him to be, charged, or what did they say, arrested on suspicion, it's like, do you think that the child has just said that the mom's called the police and that's it? Do you not think that there has been some kind of investigation or some way that they've looked into it? The child specialist, do you not think they've had a word with the child and the therapist, and these people that have these people that specialize in this field when it comes to children and know how to gauge children and how to find out if a child is lying. They know how to pull information from children that might be introvert, they might be quiet, they might be reserved, they might be going through trauma. There are people that this is their job, this is their living, this is what they do. So I'm sure those people are involved and have been approached to determine, if this, accusation has any basis. So again, I'm not going to be someone that's going to condemn him, and I'm not going to claim that he's innocent, because children should always be believed. Children should always be supported, especially when it comes to any kind of abuse allegations. Those have to be looked into in depth, period. And that's what's going to happen now. So I think the next court date is in 2 days. I'm sure somebody will stream it or pull up the results on the internet or YouTube for us all to see, and then we can see what happens with that case. And of course, his supportive wife, the article mentioned that she's requesting for people to send in character references. I mean, as she should. If she's a supporting wife, if she believes him and his side of things, then that's what she's going to do. You can't really fault her for that, so I'm not really going to comment on that. However, everyone else that's trying to attack people for speaking about this or believing it or whatever you want to say, it's not fair. You shouldn't do that, because how do you know? You weren't in the room. Do you know what I mean? So we have to wait and see what the evidence is and what the conclusion is. So besides that, again, I'm gonna reiterate my point about the youth and people in general looking outside of these conscious community leaders. There has to be more, for you to base your information on. You have to do more research outside of just these people. Do you know what I mean? Like, you have to be able to find a number of resources to come to conclusions on information. And then even then, you have to be open-minded. and be able to have, adult conversations and mature conversations, and debates if that's what you want to have, to come to conclusions. But you need to be open to multiple sources of resources. Like, it's as simple as that. Yeah, so that's my take on Rashad Jamal's situation so far. And again, before I go, one thing that people need to do, especially parents and guardians of children, you always need to create a safe space for children to be able to talk to you and open up to you, and also educate them on things that are not right and they shouldn't be involved in. Because if you don't create those safe places for children, they may go on to experience abuse and other things that they're not supposed to be experiencing because they feel like they have no one to talk to. So there should always be an open line of communication between child, parent, or child and guardian. Okay, that's it for me, guys. Take care.